Alright boys and girls, the new remake of The Lion King came out this past weekend. But before we get into the nitty gritty of this entire review, there are a couple things I'd like to address regarding my history with this movie. Like most kids in America, I grew up watching the movie, but it wasn't my definitive Disney animation, if you know what I mean. It's not the one I wouldn't immediately go watch on my free time. That trophy goes to Aladdin, and even with its live action remake being released a couple months ago, I just thought it was okay. But now, we have The Lion King. The internet is in uproar, hating the absolute shit out of this movie, and I gotta say, I thought it was okay too. I wasn't really expecting much from a Disney remake in the first place. This new version is everything I expected going in, but with a couple new changes. Nothing too extraordinarily different, it's basically beat for beat of the original story, so I'm not gonna criticize the movie based off of that aspect, cause we all know the Lion King story, but for safety purposes, I'm gonna slap a spoiler warning sticker, just in case you guys decide to yell at me in the comments. Yeah, I'm definitely going into some spoilers because there's this one main issue with The Lion King that honestly bugged the living shit out of me. But before I get into the basis of the video, let me address my thoughts of the movie first, since there's some stuff that I genuinely liked. First off being the CGI, I kinda liked it. Even though the CG is one of the main controversies surrounding the new Lion King, and it's the first thing that audiences attack this movie for, there were scenes that I thought the effects team did an excellent job. It wasn't much of the animals' sake, but more of the work done towards the African environment, you know, the mountains, trees, skies, etc. I would best compare it to The Good Dinosaur, where the main characters weren't animated to their fullest potential, but their background environments looked absolutely stunning. The same exact thing applies to The Lion King. There were particular sequences in the movie that I was convinced I was watching a Disney nature documentary. Like there's this one scene where this creature, I think it's a lemur, but I'll search it up in post, jumps immediately into frame. Looked incredibly real to me. I basically have the same and only praises that everybody else has, and I can agree to a certain extent. Other than the CG work, the music was fantastic, despite the fact that they copied and pasted it from the original animation. I knew Beyonce had her newest single being promoted for the movie, and I'm glad they did not have a musical number for it. It would have been forced and out of place. It's much similar to the Jasmine song in the new Aladdin movie, which I thought it was okay, but it was totally out of place. And that's where I have to stop with praises. Now we're gonna get into some real shit. Now I bet you're guessing the reason why I don't like this version too much is because of the CG work done on the animals, you know, taking away the emotions they had in the original. Although that's a complaint that has been beaten to death, that's actually not my main issue. The main problem with The Lion King is actually the voice acting and the line delivery. I absolutely hated the voice acting in this movie because of the lack of emotion put forth in certain scenes. It's almost like Disney had their actors come in to say these lines without giving them the context of the scenes and giving them blind approaches on the tone of their voice. I know it sounds incredibly stupid when I say it, but let me provide an example from one of the more iconic scenes from the movie, and that's Mufasa's death.
Long live the king.
So in the scene, it's been established that Scar is a Weasley asshole that wants to take over the throne, but he has this cunning sinisterness to his character. I'm going to show you the original and the remake approach. So right here, here's the original.
Long live the king.
You guys notice the beat after Scar digs his claws into Mufasa's paws? He lets the moment linger after Mufasa's realization of his brother's betrayal and delivers the line very slowly. He smiles while he does it. It's just a quintessential moment of movie villains that not only adds to the story but to Scar and Simba's character. It's literally a perfect scene. And now, we have the remake version. And sorry for the quality in advance. Now you guys see the difference? Everything feels underperformed and rushed that it kind of takes away on what makes Scar such a great villain in the first place. And that's not the only scene where that same method is done in the remake, and obviously, I don't have those scenes to back up my claims. There's just countless other scenes where the line delivery is underperformed or the story is just rushing along and not letting key moments linger. Almost every Disney remake as of late has a list of some changes comparing to the original. And you know what, I get certain changes, but when they get in the way of character development or the overall theme, it becomes less impactful. For example, we see Simba internally struggling with the thought that he was the reason his dad died. But when Rafiki arrives, he gives that speech on letting the past go.
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
That moment was not in the movie, unfortunately. The animation shows that even after Rafiki helps Simba rediscover his father again, he still has his doubts, and the movie takes its time for Simba to make that final decision in returning to the Pride Lands. In the remake, he immediately gets over his indifferences as if the movie is trying to rush itself. It jeopardizes the character and the overall story, and I was not a fan at all. Those were my main complaints, but back to my statement about the voice acting, it's really not that good. The one I was excited for the most was Donald Glover. I mean, the dude is incredibly talented and has proved to us time and time again that he is here to rule the entire industry. But him as Simba was one of the worst parts of the entire movie. His delivery was bland and almost had no range. It was just really disappointing to see. And I'm about to say something that's gonna get me banned off the internet, but I'm not really a fan of Beyonce whatsoever. So it surprised me to say that she was actually the best voice actor in the entire movie next to James Earl Jones. Seriously, put Beyonce in more voice acting roles. Whether you want to see the movie or not, it's all up to you. I personally don't think it's worth a watch. You have the animation that's 1,000 times better, and not to say this remake was absolutely terrible, I just don't think it's worth your time. There's more original films out in theaters right now, so go check those out instead. I'm giving The Lion King a 4 out of 10, in case you guys care about ratings. I personally don't care. Anyway guys, have a good day.